Hey, it's Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Know who's ready for some fighting words. In this video, I want to talk about Canelo Alvarez and, of course, Gennady Golovkin, Triple G. Here we go again. The third one, everybody. The third one, the trilogy. In my personal opinion, I think this is going to be the best fight of the three. Now, just background check. I've always been very vocal in saying that I believe Triple G won the first fight. And, what happened in the second fight happened in the second fight, and I'm not, mad at anything that happened in the second fight. So you have Canelo coming off a loss to Bivol, and now we have Triple G, in which case Canelo probably felt like, well, he was, what are you waiting around for? Whatever the case may be. Clearly, these guys don't like each other. I personally think this is going to be the best fight of all three fights, and I believe that because Canelo was trying to get some of that respect back that he lost in the Bivol fight. He lost a lot of respect. A lot of people who ranked him here started ranking him, somewhere around here. He lost a lot of respect in that fight. And it wasn't as if Bivol was the biggest puncher in the world or anything like that. I personally believe, and I've said this even in my breakdowns, that Bivol could have turned it up another notch. He could have really stepped his foot in the gas, but he didn't need to because he was winning so easily. But I feel like psychologically, Canelo feels like he has to go in there and show, I'm still the top dog. I'm still Canelo Alvarez. I'm still the cash cow. I'm still the most feared man, in boxing. And I feel like this is going to be that fight for him to define that. Now, on Triple G's end, this is his chance to make a wrong right. He should have won that first fight. So having that slip through his hands not once but twice, I'm pretty sure this time around he's not going to allow anything to go to the judges. I think he's going to train extra hard. I do believe this is going to be his exit fight. I don't feel like he'll stick around. I don't feel like there's much of a reason for Triple G to stick around after this fight. I mean, he's going to make a ton of money, and I don't see what else there is for him, to be honest with you. So, I mean, there are fights for him, and there definitely are fighters who are calling him out. David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, just to name a few, Charlo. Billy Joe Saunders said that he'd come back and he would fight Triple G, which would be interesting. I slightly favor Billy Joe Saunders because of his legs, but it's still an interesting fight. And then again, it could look like a David Lemieux fight where Triple G wipes the floor with him, but who knows? But that's neither here nor there. Triple G has to get through Canelo Alvarez, which is no small task. Like I said, this is going to be a fun fight. This is going to be winner take all. And this obviously they both know that. Here's the downside if Triple G loses. He's gonna, there's always the possibility of an excuse. Well, he was at the latter end of his career. He's taken a lot of punishment, a lot of damage throughout his career. He's had a lot of wars in his career. And, he's fighting somebody who's younger, who's strong, who was fighting people at 175 pounds, and then he comes back down to fight. So there's always going to be an excuse factor just kind of lying there dormant, waiting. For Canelo, really, there is no kind of excuse. I mean, honestly, you fighting people at 170, and then you're not threatening, but saying you're going to go up to 175 pounds. If you can go that far up, I don't know where you go from there, to be honest with you. I don't know where you go from there, because where can you go from there? What are you going to say? Sometimes it's good to put pressure on yourself, because it forces you to rise up to the occasion. Now, this could just simply be Canelo putting pressure on himself. It could be. Do I think this is the hardest challenge for Canelo right now in his career? No. Again, you got Charlo, you got David Benavidez, you got Jaime Munguia. I mean, there's guys for him to fight. I'm sorry. There's guys for him to fight. So, no, I don't think this is the toughest fight. But I do think Triple G is the type of guy who can bring a lot out of Canelo. And because of the way that Canelo fights, it will be a tough fight for Canelo. Because he's not, Triple G is still going to be the bigger guy coming into the fight. And the way he fights and the way Canelo fights, together they are dynamite. You know, they're a match made in heaven together, stylistically. But I don't think there's much adjustment that can be made, to be honest with you. With Canelo, I mean, obviously he needs to start early. He's going to have to start early, and he can't do that little Canelo thing where it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to figure you out for like 2-3 rounds and then get going in round 4 or 5 and then take a break in 7, and he can't afford to do that. He just cannot afford to do that. You know, now there are people watching these judges, so you really can't afford to do that. You know, and I think with the Bivol fight, Canelo learned that he can't put all his faith in the judges because, I mean, in no way, shape, or form was he going to beat Bivol anyway, but still, you can't put all your faith in the judges. So I think he knows he needs to start early. He would be well advised to start early, you know, and try using something he hasn't used in a long time, like a jab, you know, and get that working and get that flowing, because there's no other way. You're gonna have to put Triple G away, because I think he's gonna force that out of Canelo. Either Canelo's gonna put him out or he's gonna put Canelo out. I mean, that's literally where it's gonna go in this fight. And I think Triple G is going to cause a lot of that action because we all know he doesn't know how to back up. So, and he pressed Canelo both fights. So we know exactly what Triple G is going to do. Listen, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I don't think Triple G is coming in to camp trying to learn new tricks. I think Triple G is going to camp simply to get into the best shape of his entire career, just so he can Triple G Canelo the entire fight. And that means forward pressure. That means a very consistent jab. That means some hard punches. That means a lot of uppercuts. That means some overhand upper shovel hook thing that he likes to do, you know, like all that. He's going to be up in Canelo's face from round 1 to whenever it ends, because I don't believe this is going to a decision. So whenever it ends, he's going to be there, and he's going to be in the best shape of his life. And vice versa, Canelo's going to be in the best shape of his life. Because, again, he's coming off of a loss. He's got a lot to prove. He's got a lot to show. And if he was serious about rematching Bivol, I think this is what he would need to make a statement. You know, here I have a guy from your neck of the woods in terms of the world, and look what I'm about to do to him. You know, you two were kind of similar in the sense that you're both forward pressure. Look what I'm about to do to this guy. And guess what? I'm coming back for you when I'm done with him. And, now, when I say you can't teach no dog new tricks, in terms of Canelo, I don't see a whole lot of adjustment with Canelo. Well, honestly, I just feel like if Canelo were to actually use a jab and use it from round 1, I think we would see a turnaround in this fight. I really do. I think we'd see a turnaround in this fight. But Canelo's more than likely not going to use that jab. But I think he knows, all right, I can't rely on judges. My name is Star Power will not save me. Because it didn't save me with a lesser named opponent in Bivol. So it's not going to save me here. And that's the mindset that he needs to have. He needs to have a mindset that says either I can do it or I cannot, because I can't leave this in the hands of anyone else. That's number 1. Now, with that being said, what adjustment can be made? And what's a realistic adjustment to make with X amount of time before the fight? Well, that real adjustment is simple. It's a jab. It's not the most complicated thing in the world. It's a jab. It's a jab, and then you move out of the way. And I don't mean slip the punches afterwards and do, your little Canelo head bobbing movement. I mean completely move your legs and get completely out of the way. It's not the hardest thing to do. It's not the hardest thing to drill. And, at Canelo's level of expertise in the ring, that's not the hardest thing. He could probably learn, do that on his own. I don't necessarily even feel like he needs to be drilled in that. That's first day stuff. So that's something that could be added. That's something that can be added. And when it comes to Triple G, honestly, the one thing I would say is don't just focus on headshots. go to the body early, because we know Canelo can take a punch to the face. There are some guys who can take a punch to the face, and there's some guys who can, who'd rather get punched in the body. I think Canelo would rather get punched in the face than the body. That being said, I would definitely say go for the body. End up attacking the head, but start at the body. See what happens. Listen, both fights, you attack the head and then whatever was presentable. This fight, I say attack the body and then go after the head later, when the body starts to wobble or break down or his arms start to come down. That's what I say. His arms are going to be low anyway, because that's kind of how that's literally how he fights. So go to the body. And again, I don't think that's reinventing the wheel. As many fights as Triple G has had, it's not reinventing the wheel. Just go to the body first. Simple as that. I think with those two different strategies, I think, number one, it would make a completely different fight than the fight 1 and fight 2. But I think doing those two things could lead to stoppages or knockouts, is what I'm saying. Because like I said, he went to Canelo's jaw last time and he stood the test of time. His jaw is granite as can be. So therefore, go to the body first, weaken the body, and then go back upstairs. In terms of Canelo, you need some more activity, buddy. And you need to start early, buddy. And then you need to use that jab, bro. Simple as that. If you can give Triple G something to think about, he won't throw as many punches. And if he doesn't throw as many punches, then you have an opportunity to throw more punches and do more setups. And, and then you can still mix it to the body, which is your bread and butter. But you need to give him something to think about and give him something to think about early. And let him know that you're going to be returning fire. You're not just going to be ducking shots. You're not just going to get lazy mid-fight and lay on the ropes like you do with all your fights. You're going to be active. So Canelo needs to be in the best shape of his life as well. And like I said, this is all about bad blood. Canelo clearly doesn't like Triple G. And I think Triple G has a bad taste in his mouth for Canelo for waiting so long, because honestly, they should have already had this fight in, because the world didn't need to see Canelo versus Bivol. The world literally didn't need to see that. The world didn't need to see Rocky Fielding. Honestly, this fight could have been made a long time ago. But I'm happy that it's here. You drop your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And as always, please like, please share, please subscribe to my channel.